Chip War is written by Chris Miller, and he explains us the history of chip development and how the market is today and the future scope of this chip industry. So, as we know, like chips play a vital role in the tech world. So, every device what we use, from smartphones to automated automated cars, to anything, like be it in a stock or trade investments, or like even in military. So everywhere, like chip plays a vital role. So microchips are the new oil, and the fact here, what is trying to say is, China is flooding their investments in importing these chips, and there's always a dependency on the Orient side, that these chips are getting manufactured a lot on the Orient space. Means like there are two companies which place 1/3 of the share in the chip industry. One is like TSMC, another one is Samsung. So TSMC is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, and Samsung, we know, it's from South Korea. So the Orient side, they play a major role in manufacturing these chips. And China, like though US is dominates the market in the global tech arena, so China is coming as a competitor. So that's the gist of the book, and how the integrated circuits and transistors and all came into, like how they came into the history and the current market and the future scope is what this book is about. And when I read this book, so two things pinched my curiosity. One is like one is about the women wages during the mid-60s, during the start of the IC and chip industry. Another one is two women who played an important role in tech. So first, let's start with women wages. So the book has mentioned that how women were paid in the industry. So chip firms hired women because they could be paid lower wages and were likely than men to demand better working conditions. Production managers also believed women's smaller hands made them better at assembling and testing finished semiconductors. In the 1960s, the process of attaching a silicon chip to the piece of plastic on which it would sit first required looking through a microscope to position the silicon onto the plastic. The assembly worker then held the two pieces together as a machine applied heat, pressure, and ultrasonic vibration to bond the silicon to the plastic base. Thin gold wires were attached again by hand to conduct electricity to and from the chip. Finally, the chip had to be tested by plunging it into a meter, another step that, at the time, could only be done by the hand. As demand for chips skyrocketed, so did the demand for the pair of hands that could assemble them. So women played this important role of molding the chip, but still they were paid less comparing to men. And they clearly mentioned women were less likely than men to demand better working conditions. So they did adjust, but still they were paid less. At least now, this was happening in 1960s. At least now we see like all our companies are giving us a supportive role, and like we are equally paid, is my hope. And the firm I represent, JPMorgan, like they do encourage women in tech, and they don't have a bias in the payments like I haven't heard with my peer friends also. So I feel like now the comparing back then, now we are better, and we have better space to work in the industry. So the next one is like about the women. Yeah. So about the two women. So one is Mary Ann Potter. So she's in production. She was a production engineer. Mary Ann Potter. She spent months running the round-the-clock tests. She's the first woman to earn a physics degree from Texas Tech, and Potter was hired at TI to scale up the chip production for the Minuteman missile, which she has to work on an IC designing and implementation for this Minuteman missile. And she often worked with night shift from 11 p.m. to until 8 a.m. I am a night owl, so I feel her. And gathering data took days of experimentation. Then she ran regressions on the data using her slide rule to calculate exponents and square roots, plot the results on a graph, and then interpret them, doing it all by hand. So it was a slow, laborious, painful process relying on human computers to crunch the numbers, yet the trial and error was the only method the Texas Instruments had. And so she played this important role. And the another person, because of the time crunch, like I'm moving to the next person, like Conway. So Lynn Conway is another architect at Xerox Palo Alto Research Center, where the concept of the personal computer with a mouse and keyboard was just being invented. So this was in 1970s. So Conway was a brilliant computer scientist, but anyone who spoke with her discovered a mind that glistened with insights from diverse fields, astronomy to anthropology to historical philosophy. So basically, she was the one who implemented the design automation in the microchip. So earlier, like there was an dependency that they were drawing the designs for the integrated on the integrated circuits. So she came up with an automation that the manual drawing got replaced, and it was endorsed in universities as well. So that it went on to the next research level. So she did a major contribution in that. So from these women, right? Again back to the topic, the objective, what makes us. So it all starts with ourselves, that we need to invest in ourselves. So reading this book and getting to know about these personalities, wonderful women, I felt more driven and inclined towards my passion in tech. So I try my best to give back to the community and potentially contribute what makes me a community as a better techies in the society. So thank you for the wonderful opportunity. Yeah.